life is good. Hey, are you retired now?
What's that?
Are you retired now?
Oh, not really. I have several projects I'm working on, and I'll probably be doing that till I drop dead. My wife is retired, so
Hang in there.
that's a very good sign that we finally got her to retire from the San Francisco Chronicle.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me open the digital door here.
If you're in the DC area again, they'll give me a call or email. I'll meet you somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know the area very well. Car, trains, whatever type stuff.
All right, here is Mark Utley.
Okay.
Followed by Dan Agusa and Greg Mobley. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how you doing, Mark? Ty?
And Ty
Hi, Larson. Mark, I haven't seen you in a long time. I want to say hi to you.
It's going to cut out, and then I may restart. I see that it came up with an update since I had last used Zoom. So if I go away, I'll be right back.
You look fine.
And here's Dan Agusa. And there he is. Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got his letter sweater in the background.
All right.
I'm prepared, man. Hey, Ty,
Dan,
how you doing? Can you hear me?
Very well. I haven't been to Munich, Germany to check on your building lately, but someday again.
Yeah, please check on it. They haven't paid their rent,
Yeah. Yeah, Mark, I used to make regular trips to Munich, and there was an Igusa building there. I used to walk a lot at night. There was a Igusa building there, so I always used to go check on Dan's building. I emailed him. He said, actually, it wasn't his, but it wasn't a Igusa building. I used to use it as a landmark to go for my walks at night.
Mark didn't know I was half German.
Yeah.
Well, that explains your devotion to beer over the years.
Actually, I'm a lightweight, but yeah, I guess so.
You're just a taster.
Yes, that's right. That's true. That's true.
All right, here's Mr. Greg Mobley. There he is.
Hey, Greg.
Greg, can you hear us? Greg, hello.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you look good. You sound fine.
Hey, he took it a step further, Dan. He's not only got it in the background, he's wearing his letter sweater.
Holy mackerel.
All right.
That guy was always a showboat.
Hey,
Hey, Greg.
there's the blanket.
He's got the
Man.
blanket too. All right. Excellent work there, Greg. And
I have the blanket. I haven't used it in 20 years, so I think I have it somewhere.
here's the man who's billing himself as Dad. Many among us could make that claim. And it turns out to be
Yeah.
and it
There's
is
the
Brian
jacket.
Stevens.
Brian, hey.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can. How are you?
Hey,
How are you,
great.
Dan?
Great. Nice.
So you can see who we got participating here, I assume.
Yeah. What time is it there, buddy? Ty?
9 o'clock.
Is it
9:03.
late?
Yeah.
Is it? It's not past your bedtime?
No. I'm usually step till about 12. So
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Greg and Dan have their Letterman sweater. I still have my lifetime pass, so I can go to any football or basketball or any event, right? Next time.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
ideally positioned to take advantage of that living in Maryland.
I
Yeah,
wonder if they would honor it.
We're going to have to convince Fremont to start live streaming events so you can get a password and watching them do it that way. Here's Mr. Utley claiming readmittance.
Yeah.
We saw him at one point.
Oh boy.
Okay. All right, Mark, you're
Hey,
back.
guys, I'm back. Sorry for the
All
brief
right.
delay.
there you
Mark,
are.
thanks for
There's
setting
Mark
this up.
Utley.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, all. Let's
Are you going
see.
to stay with us this time, Mark, or is
I
this?
am. Yeah, my system. I hadn't used Zoom. Last time was actually a forensics reunion call that Dave Green of the class of 70 had set up a few months
Oh.
ago. And I guess my system needed an update. So it came in with that. So
And you've been updated?
I've been updated. I'm
Well, you look
current.
fabulous. You do look updated.
That's what
We all
comes
look
from
updated in our own way.
still working at age 69,
Yes.
and working from home. So
And speaking of updated, here is our coach, Phil Kelly. In theory,
you're letting him in one at a time. There he is.
We'll get him here sooner or later.
game. Hello, Phil. Can you hear us, Phil? It's funny, we haven't been this quiet in years.
Get that speaker on and the video going.
What I was about to say, it'll be a miracle if we actually can get Dwyer on. He proclaims to be a Zoom virgin. I find that hard to believe in this day and age.
So did you send a Zoom tech to his house or house?
You know, John Dunning doesn't live that far from Bob now in
Why don't you
Lodi.
get them together?
Yeah.
Well, that it may come down to that. So I'm still expecting John, and Bob Van Hoy chimed in earlier today or late last night that he would be part of it. Gary
Nice.
Kelly,
Bob Dwyer.
and yeah, well, Dwyer is an issue. He wants to be part of it. It's just if we can get him over the technological hump, so to speak. If you know, as
He
far
does
as
have
I
a
know,
phone,
it's
doesn't
just
he?
a clicking on a link, but
Yeah.
following some prompts, so we shall see.
Yeah.
It's still haven't gotten Phil here.
Got his name showing, but that's all.
Yeah, right. Well, and I don't have his phone number. Does anybody have his phone number?
Coach Kelly? No, I don't.
Well, why don't we continue as if this
Can you
is
see
now.
does he have his video on?
Well, it could be just sound, but if he could hear us, then you'd think, Phil,
Yeah.
you would say something.
Yeah.
Coach, you there?
right. I mean, there's nothing that I can control now from where I stand as the host. If he doesn't click video on and if he doesn't click audio on. And I suspect it has something to do with his connection. So normally at this point, I would call somebody and say, you know, offline, check this or check that, but I don't have his phone
Yeah.
number.
Dwyer probably has it.
Right.
Greg, I was going to say, I honestly don't think I've had any connection with you since high school days. And I thought you went to Oregon, but I see the state of Washington on a plaque on your wall. So,
Well, that's actually a wine cork thing from the state of Washington. But
Okay.
I went to Oregon State.
oh,
He
you went to
was a
Oregon
Beaver.
State. All right.
He was
Yeah.
a Beaver.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice
that's
upset
Beaver.
your guys pulled last week
The Pac-12 champions.
for the first time
Really?
ever in the
First
tournament
time
is what
ever,
I
you
heard.
got it.
That's
Yep.
great. My
So,
daughter was a
Greg-
duck.
Mobe, I got to tell you, I have a connection with your head coach,
Oh, really?
with Wayne Tinkle.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
His brother is one of my better friends.
Oh, really? Great.
His brother, you know that game I play handball,
Uh-huh.
team handball. So I've been very involved in it, and I'm trying to get this film made about the team in '72 that qualified for the Olympics. And
Right,
his brother was in the Army, and the entire team almost was made up of Army guys who had the choice either to go to Vietnam or to learn this game you've never heard of.
Yeah.
That's going to be an Olympic sport for the first time. And his name was Terry Tinkle. And he's
Oh,
a
I'll be-
very thoughtful guy who single-handedly in the second half beat Canada to qualify for the Olympics and put the team in the games in 72 and then quit the team and didn't go with them almost as a conscientious objector. And then I did an interview with him. He lives in Wisconsin. And he and I have been exchanging letters and stuff. And I just really think the world of the guy. He's a juvenile counselor. He's just a great guy. And he kept referring to his brother, the coach. And I got an email from him saying, sorry, we beat your Bruins.
Yep. Yeah. Wayne is a gentleman above, but all call. He's a great guy. Unfortunately, we obviously didn't get to be able to go to any games this year because of the ticket scenario and COVID, but we've got courtside seats, and the two girls, Jocelyn and Ellie, they are proficient basketball players also, and their seats were next to us last year. So we got to be on TV an awful lot because the Pac-12 kept showing the Tinkle girls yelling at the officials.
You live there in Corvallis, Greg?
No, actually, we live in Vancouver, Washington.
Okay.
We'll go down there for the games. So about an hour and a half drive.
Yep. My younger daughter went to Oregon, and then she lives in Bend now.
So okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We get up to Bend 2-3 times a year.
Yeah, great town.
Come through Sisters, Mark. That's
Yeah.
where I live.
Really?
I'm in Sisters.
Yes. That's not that much farther. up the road a bit. We've been there. There was some kind of a big festival there a couple summers ago. I think is it every August normally, except in COVID?
Yeah.
Might be August.
No, we have all kinds of different things. We have the world's largest outdoor quilt show in Sisters, Oregon. And we've got the Foutses run the music thing that comes to town, and they get all the music festivals every year. And we have lots of stuff that happens here. So we leave town when those things happen because it's just no, we don't go into town at all. So
it was kind of gridlocked today. We were actually going fishing up, I'll say a little bit east of town, up in the hills someplace. I don't remember the exact lake.
Well, we have some great fly fishing, Metolius River.
This was lake fishing. So this was some kind of a lake up there, and we were not successful, but we had fun. It's always fun to go fishing.
Yeah, it's beautiful up in those lakes.
Somebody coming in.
Bob Dwyer.
Sorry,
It's
that's
gonna be Bob. Walk him through it, Mark. It's not that hard.
sorry, that's Chris. That was Chris Van Hoy asking. Bob lost the link, and she had texted me, and I just sent it to her. And unfortunately, my phone's tied to my laptop, so I get the volume up, and it gets obnoxious. So anyway, Bob, I think, should be joining us.
So, Mark, how long have your kids been in Bend?
Well, it's the younger daughter. She graduated from Eugene in 2014, and the connection to Bend is that she worked for a year for the Eugene Emeralds, which is a little minor league baseball team in Eugene as an intern. She had done that for the Ducks while she was in college. She majored in sports marketing and initially thought that's what she wanted to do. And she started dating and is still in a long-term relationship with a kid who used to be one of the Ducks, as in the mascot Ducks. And at the time they met, he was actually the mascot for the Emeralds. He was Sluggo, the mascot's Emeralds mascot. But at any rate, he went back to Bend because that's where he grew up, and she went with him. And he's a CPA there now in Bend, and she works in marketing for Les Schwab Tires, which is something you certainly know in the Northwest as a brand. And they bought a home together 5 years, almost 6 years ago. And, you know, someday the wedding bells will ring maybe, but that's something dads don't ask about or don't push.
Yeah.
They're doing great. So at any rate, other daughter, we have two, and the other daughter is in Honolulu. So quite a different option in terms of going for trips.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have 4 sons, and
Wow.
we live in a compound here. We have 3 of our 4 sons live with us, and
Oh, wow.
5 of our grandkids, 5 of our 8 grandkids live with us. So we're always over the limit of 10, you know, we're always over the limit. We have 12 always at on our property. So it's a compound, but it's interesting how you know, your kids, when they're teenagers, say, oh man, as soon as I get old enough, I'm out of here, you know, kind of thing. Well, they all live with me.
They
So
migrated back.
It's interesting how that goes. So
Well,
have you been
apparently
in?
Mr. Van Hoy got the link.
Is he up and running?
Coming
He's
in.
joining us now.
There he is.
Oh my gosh, look at that history guy.
That looks like a COVID haircut.
Holy smokes. Wow.
Hey, Bob.
Bob, you're on mute or something. We're seeing your lips move. But-
Santa
Yeah.
Claus.
Take it off the mute so you can get on there.
Who you talking to?
Hey,
There
there
he
he
is.
Hey, Robert.
is.
Hey, what's that sweater you got on there?
Hey, we're very well represented here between Greg and Dan. We've got all the paraphernalia one would want,
Yeah.
All right. So,
including
Mark-
blankets and sweaters.
Ron
I-
Dunning's going to join us, isn't he?
I have only one picture. I got to get the whole group on here somehow.
Hey,
The little
you
button
don't
next-
happen to have
top left
Phil's
corner.
phone number?
Okay. There we go. Do I have Phil's phone number?
Yeah, because he made an attempt to join us and we see his name, but his video's not activated and we can't hear him.
Mark, where do you live? Where are you living?
Oh, I'm in Los Altos.
Really?
So,
Really?
Who am I looking? Oh,
stone's throw from the
Kelly.
campus. And
Wow.
when I worked my pretty much entire career with Fujitsu, the Japanese electronics company. I'm an attorney with them.
Uh-huh.
And the last 16 years have been at a campus in Sunnyvale. So odds are at least once or twice a week, I drove back past the campus, you know, and
Wow.
got to see the old
Wow.
home, but
Yeah, amazing.
been working from home, and that will be permanent for as long as I decide that I want to continue working, or until they decide they're tired of me. Because they're
Yeah.
pretty much shrinking the Sunnyvale campus down to just one building, and
Yeah.
I do not have Phil.
don't. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't.
Now, Dan, you're in Cupertino.
No, I'm in Foster City, but
You're in
my
Foster City. Okay.
yeah, but my parents'
Okay.
house still in Cupertino, right around the corner from Bob Van
Did-
Hoy.
Okay.
I thought you sold it
We're gonna sell it, but we haven't sold it yet.
because I saw different cars in the driveway. So I ran into Glenn a month or
Those
so
are
ago.
just homeless people probably using the house. Not quite sure.
they're making a few bucks renting out the place.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Mark
Hey,
Utley, I
hey,
wanted to
Mark.
ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you know Mr. Haruki? Former
Yes,
president of
I do.
Fujitsu? You know
Yes,
pretty
I
well?
do. He at one point was president of a company within Fujitsu that I was working for.
Right.
And I actually
right.
first met him when he was down in Anaheim. He used to be with Fujitsu in Anaheim at a
Oh, okay.
subsidiary we had down there. He's a strong Angels fan because of his time in Anaheim, and I'm
Uh-huh.
a big Oakland A's fan. So we always talk
Right.
baseball. But
Right. No,
how do you know Haruki-san?
No, his wife and my wife are pretty good friends.
Ah.
And he actually lives just around the corner from us.
Oh.
And after he retired, I guess he's working somewhere right now on a contract
Yes,
basis,
it
I guess.
is. Are you going to
I
be?
had not heard that
doing it?
he'd retired, but then again, the only way I would see him is when we would bump into each other on the campus
Oh,
because
okay.
he wasn't affiliated with the Fujitsu America company that I'm with. So
Yeah,
Oh.
we're here.
Phil's got his hand
Are
up
you
now.
joining us
on the-
by
Phil's got
phone or?
his body or his.
Okay, but you have the link.
Mute that, Mark. Mute that,
Okay.
Mark. What are you doing? Hey, Dan, are you still working? Dan,
Yeah,
are you still working?
I
Okay,
am still working, not as hard as I used to. I did sell my import business, but I kept my export business, and so I'm still exporting snack food to Japan.
Wow.
Hmm.
But
So,
I'm phasing that out of that. I should be done with that in another year, probably.
Yeah. And are you going to sell that? Is that the plan?
Well, it's not going to go for much.
Yeah.
It's being an exporter is sort of like being a dinosaur these days. You're
Yeah.
you're a middleman, and everybody's trying to buy direct. And
So you're going to pay somebody to take it off your hands? Is that what you're going to
are you interested, Brian?
do? Yes, I'm very interested. Yeah.
How's your
I'm-
Japanese? Well,
Yeah.
we can talk.
Jujitsu. I know that word. I don't know
Okay.
what it means, but I know what that word. And so.
Well, there's jujitsu and there's Fujitsu. I work for Fujitsu.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's just a made up name. And then jujitsu is the wrestling or whatever.
wait a minute. Fujitsu is a made up name? Now?
Yes, it was actually constructed. The company legend is that it comes from FU for the Furukawa Group, which was one of the original founders in 1935. And then G is the character from the German Siemens, Siemens, which was the other main founder.
Oh,
And then Su just has some meaning of the word telecommunications. So it kind of derives from Furukawa Siemens Telecommunications.
Oh.
But they legally adopted it as the name of the company shortly after World War II.
so
We got an education tonight.
There you go. Hey,
really?
you turn on the line and you never know what's going to come out. It's like
I
watching
used to buy
Jeopardy.
that stuff and it had no meaning. My God. Well,
Now you want to know, normally I wouldn't tell this, but my nephew, my younger sister Amy's boy, he took Japanese up at Foothill once when he was like a teenager. And he came to me one day and he said, Uncle Mark, did you know the real meaning of the company you work for? And I said, no. And he sent me a scan out of a dictionary where it stands for deceitful liar.
Wow.
Which is great. So I took it to work to show it to one of my Japanese colleagues to say, how can this be? What is this? And they said, well, as in a lot of things, depending upon what the actual kanji characters are, determines what the word really
Context.
means. You could have multiple words with the same thing. And that particular meaning derived from some song, like a love ballad about a jilted lover. And somehow those words were in that.
That's
So anyway,
funny.
it's not the same as our company, but
the odds are the average American was not going to look closely at it.
no, they're gonna, say it's like jujitsu. They think it's wrestling or something.
Close enough.
So anyway,
They gotta ask you guys something, all the names of sports teams and mascots have been changing here. And anything to do with any kind of an Indian is for some reason bad. I think it's
Says
great
the
myself.
Redskins fan.
But do you all remember when Fremont Indians went away and was it the Firebirds or something like that where they were now? But was there
The
much
Firebirds.
controversy on it, or did you go just follow Stanford's footsteps? Or
I think they pretty much followed Stanford.
Coach Phil came in.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've been
I
trying to
just think
figure
the
out how
Fremont
to
Indians
get
was
sound.
beautiful and the mascot was great. So yeah.
Well, it's just when all of those things changed,
Yeah,
and
there's Phil.
changing even more so
Yes.
now.
Oh yeah, they'll get them all eventually. Get the Chiefs and the Blackhawks. I mean, they'll get them all eventually for some reason. I don't know
Well,
why.
and John C. Fremont has a fairly colored historical past.
So that'll probably be on the list. Yeah.
So odds are we may come back to a Sunnyvale that no longer says Fremont Boulevard. I don't know what the city's going to do about it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if one day you wake up and it's been renamed as the Sunnyvale High School Jets. That would
Yeah,
that
really.
would be totally non-political, right?
Yeah.
You would not want to embarrass the Jets, though.
Yeah.
Coach,
All
I
right,
see
well,
you there,
Mr.
but can you,
Dwyer is, I think, joining us via phone
Okay.
Well, we'll see.
after I prompted him that, yes, it is 6 o'clock.
oh, there he comes in.
Oh, there it
Yep.
is.
Audio.
Hello, Mr. Dwyer. Bob.
All right.
There he is.
There he is.
Oh, my
Complete video.
goodness.
We're getting the top of your head,
A little bit of the mustache.
which
too.
is the best part.
It's getting closer.
Slowly, he
Oh,
turns into
yeah.
the camera. Are you muted?
It says on my screen that Dwyer is connecting to audio. So, Coach Phil, can you hear us? Okay,
Oh, wait a minute. There's Phil.
you may be on mute.
See him. Phil, we can't hear you.
We're getting your mouth moving, but we can't.
His mic is off, looks like.
Yeah, the mic's off.
How do I hear? How do I unmute?
There you
There
go.
you go.
We hear you
All
now.
right.
You did
Good
something.
Wow,
We
we
can
have
hear you.
everybody except for John.
I've been sitting here for 10 minutes listening to you old guys, trying to figure out how to get on this thing.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, Bob Dwyer.
I hear Dwyer.
All I have is a voice, no picture.
Well, your picture was on it a minute ago,
Yeah,
but no
we saw
voice.
you.
But now we get the best of both worlds. Just your voice. You're a
Van
face
Hoy,
made
you,
for
working
radio.
for, Van Hoy, you getting ready to be Santa this next Christmas?
Nope, it'll be coming off as soon as I can travel.
It's a pandemic look.
It's a pandemic. I'm just not going to shave.
Well,
So,
Coach Phil, it's great to have you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you are.
Good to
Hallelujah.
still be upright.
Where are you joining us from?
Oh, we're in San Jose. We're in our old house.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Is
know
that
if you're
Coach?
down in Santa
Yeah.
Cruz or where.
Hello.
There we go.
Not much
Bob, we hear
traffic.
you, I think. Coach, this is Mark Utley. I don't think I have seen
Wow, this
you
isn't working.
since high school, so it's great to connect
It's been
again.
a
You
long
know,
time.
I worked with your wife a little bit when she was at Montclair School.
Oh, yeah.
And my kids were just starting in elementary school, so that's a good 20
Uh-huh.
plus years ago. And she was involved with some committee for fundraising or something that I was on. So, at any rate, that's the last connection I've had. And Bob, you were kind enough to host a gathering. Is it now 3 years ago? And invited me, but I just was exhausted that day after a long day at work, and I didn't make it. So, apologize that I didn't get to see you in person, but great to be reconnected here. I have a question.
Okay.
From long ago memory.
Uh-oh.
And the context on this is that I do a lot of stuff to try to keep Fremont memorabilia going. I have a memory of seeing a photograph, probably somewhere in the athletic department, of you as a young kid being held on a street in Palo Alto by Hank Norberg.
Okay.
Is that just my imagination, or would that really have been a picture that existed?
Oh, you're absolutely right. That picture, I was probably a year old or so.
Yeah, that's the
That
story.
was at Hank's wedding. Hank was my cousin.
I didn't know the connection. Okay.
And, you know, it's kind of funny that you mention him. I saw a picture of the 1940, I can't remember, 42 or 46 49ers. And one of the guys on that team was Casanega. And he's 100 years old and still alive. Went
Wow.
to Santa Clara. And they had the article in the paper I think in the Cron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just saw that.
And that was all the old timers. Hank was in there, and
Hmm.
Bruno Banducci and Albert, and
I was looking for Hank Norbert's picture.
he was 55. He was in there.
He was? Because I thought he was on that first team in 46.
There he was.
Yeah. I just reached out to John Dunning, who apparently had forgotten he was in the middle of barbecuing. So he's trying to stash the stuff and dash over. And hopefully he'll be joining us. Bob Dwyer, are you still there? Because he sent me a text saying it worked for a second, couldn't make it happen. So we may not see Bob again.
But I still have the official program, 25 cents, March 16th, 1968. And the roster still has Bob Dwyer's name, B-O-Y. You guys probably noticed that before.
Yeah.
That's what it is in here. B-O-Y Dwyer. So
Well, here's John knocking on the digital door. At some point.
Walking.
There he
Walking
is.
in from the barbecue, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
Are you serving dinner? There it is.
Yeah, Uber Eats. Get it to us.
Hello, John.
Can you hear us, John?
You betcha.
Oh,
Here
okay.
we are.
all right, John.
Hey guys.
What are we having? What are we
What's
having
What's for dinner?
Ah, my wife makes a wonderful chicken. We're barbecuing it, lemon chicken. It's very spicy and barbecue and asparagus, and yeah, it's all good. Lucky us.
Oh,
I've always
Where are
been
you at
lucky.
these days, John? Are you still in the Bay Area?
Nope, I live in Lodi.
Lodi.
Lodi, that's right.
Spend about half of our time in Aptos, over there in that area, because I can't stand it when it's really hot or really cold here. But I'm just being a baby.
And are you next door to your kids? Is that what was going on? You live in the same town, right, Lodi?
Yeah, my kids both grew up here when I worked at UOP, and so they're Valley kids. And my oldest daughter Lisa married a Valley boy, and he's not going anywhere. His whole family's here. So we built a house just down the street from him, and they used to be able to walk back and forth until they built another house, and so they're about 5 miles away from us. So that's why we're here.
So John, do
great.
they have lots of John Fogerty CCR singing about Lodi? It's got to be memorabilia all over town, isn't there? Or bars or something's got it, right?
Yeah, we're stuck in Lodi again. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's no doubt that's true. Yeah, it's
What's your best song? Well, that in center field probably, but yeah.
there's about 40,000 people live in Lodi, so I'm out of the Bay Area traffic, which I'm happy about. But it's a little country-ish and a lot of grapes. If you like wine, this is great wine country now. So
Do they have
There's a lot.
golf courses? Do they have golf courses there?
they do. Yep. Mhm.
So
I-
are you hitting the links quite often?
I did when I retired, but I've had some health stuff that I haven't really played hardly at all this year, and I'm just starting to play again.
Good.
And hoping to play with my daughter on Friday my other daughter lives in Southern Cal when she comes up to visit on Friday. So
Yeah. Well, I'm starting back to work tomorrow on the golf course, Black Butte Ranch. Have
Yeah.
you played that? John, have you played?
mm-mm.
Oh, that's the best. That's the best place I've
That's a
ever
good one.
been. It's
36
Uh,
holes.
what?
36 holes.
36 holes. Yeah.
Aren't there
Yeah.
36 Butte?
Have you been there?
Yeah, I played. I stayed there one day, one half week,
Yeah.
probably April, and got snowed out a couple of
Oh,
times.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We still are getting snow here and there. But they're wanting me back to start mowing in the dark, and and the frost is every morning, even in the summer. It's frost delays and stuff, but it's about the best place, I think, anywhere. It's a beautiful place, and whether playing or whether I'm working, it's a great place to be. So yeah, I'm starting back up tomorrow. Which course did you play? Big or Glaze?
I can't remember. It's only been about 30 years.
Well, our kids all grew up. Our kids all grew up coming over from Salem to Black Butte for a week every year for 20 years, whatever. And when we moved over to Sisters, we still spend a week every year, every summer there on the ranch. And go off to work. I'm 5 minutes away from work, and then they're all playing, all the kids and grandkids. But we still spend a week every year at the ranch. So yeah, it's a beautiful place. You guys should come. John, you should come.
Yeah, it is a real nice place.
Is it there in
it's amazing.
Sisters, Brian, or
In
where
Sisters,
is Black?
right outside Sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just
Greg,
west
are
of
you
the-
retired now?
Yes, retired since 2012, actually. So, and we live on a golf course, Royal Oaks Country Club in Vancouver, renowned for very fast greens and a lot of tall fir trees with narrow fairways. But a lot of fun, and Sherry and myself enjoy getting out there and playing golf. And of course, a bunch of our old cronies, we get out there and play. And we actually live behind the 13th tee box, and it's a
I
beautiful
really
view down
enjoyed
to-
Sherry when I spent some time with her at the reunion. She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was fun. I got to talk to her a little bit too. She's neat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We could have done a lot worse.
She's watching TV right now. She might swing by and wave.
Well, tell her that we're just giving her nothing but compliments right now
Okay.
until
All right.
to tear herself away from the TV.
Okay, I'll go tell her.
Yeah, way more attractive than you deserve.
Oh, she heard it because she's already here.
Did I hear him talking?
You were getting great reviews, Sherry.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I'll let
Yes.
you go on then.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you all.
Good to see you.
You too.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like you're having lots of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because our memories dim, but the glory's intense.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Okay. Good to see you all. Let you get back.
Mark, you talked about reunions. At least I think everybody on this screen, we had a chance to do a 50-year reunion. The poor kids from 70, had theirs pulled out from under them due to COVID.
Yeah, I know. My sister was in that class.
That's right. Robin is class of 70. They're on the books, I think, for August. They're doing their 50+1, they're calling it.
Oh, good.
But I don't know the details. They have a Facebook page, but you have to be a member or something to sign up. So I haven't.
Yeah.
Well, that was class of 68 for our 40. We fucked up the math on that one, and it was 40+1.
One, right.
We didn't get it together to do the actual 40. We went to some teacher and got an excuse to hand in our term paper late.
The late Clarence Sewell would have been very disappointed.
Yes.
in your math.
We only got a B+ on our reunion because it was late.
Mr. Sewell was math.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Geometry I
It
had
was
him for.
math.
Yeah.
He and I.
And he was part of the team that taught humanities.
Okay. I never took that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he taught logic, which I remember him for.
Didn't have him for that.
That would have been.
I had
would've
him
been fun.
for like algebra and geometry.
Well, that
And,
explains why you've been so illogical all these years.
Yes, it does. Well, he and I had a difference of opinion. I completed the 2 years of math that I was required to do, but I told him point blank that I didn't see how I was going to use math in my career. And he said, all right, you're going to be a gas station attendant for the rest of your life if you don't do math. So it was a healthy rivalry. I mean, but it was fun. I have fond memories of being in his class.
But Mark,
Anybody
when
have-
you were when you were a senior, I don't think you took math, did you, Mark?
I
Right?
didn't take it junior or senior year.
No, I mean, I'm talking about Mark White.
Oh, right.
I jumped away from math as soon as I could.
Yeah.
And when I got to college, I paid a fraternity brother of mine to take my physics final. I gave him Rolling Stones tickets.
Oh my God.
I got good tickets for because of a deal I had at the time. I had no interest in learning anything that had to do with math and science. I was absolutely arrogant and an idiot because I had to then learn all about electronics when it came to television and video. But I was
And I took lots of math and physics, way too much. But yeah.
No, if you talk numbers to me in high school, I walked away.
Kai, geographically, where are you at? Are you still in the Bay Area?
No, in Maryland.
Maryland.
In the Washington, D.C. area, Gaithersburg, Maryland. We also have a second home in West Virginia, which is really nice resort area up there. It's 75 miles from here, so I split time between there and here. A lot of time my wife will go up there and stay for a few days by herself. She likes to get away from me. So it works out very well that way. It's a nice place up there. The whole different atmosphere compared
That's
to
one of about 4 or 5 states on the list that I still haven't made it to. I have a cousin that taught at Marshall for most of her career as a professor, but never got back.
It's very nice, actually. It really is. You know, the song that John Denver sang and all is all true. You know, beautiful. The mountains aren't Western mountains; they're small mountains and all. But I've done some hiking, and it's really nice up there and all. Yeah.
Those are called hills.
I was going to say my memory of Maryland is Annapolis. As a debater for Northwestern, we went to Annapolis to the Naval Academy for a tournament.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really fantastic place to visit, but it was 2 days and done. So,
has anybody been through the Ozarks? Anybody ever been there? Have you?
I have been to the Ozarks and Branson.
Okay. Yeah. My son, my oldest son that lives with us, and there's 5 kids, are moving somewhere back there in the next couple of months. Who would want to do that? I'm still wondering why this is happening, but that's in the plan. He's he really believes God's leading him there to do ministry. So that's his that's what he's doing, and it's like he's obeying God. So that's it's interesting in times like we are in, to be, you need to be where you're supposed to be, and so that's important right now. So
well, my former boss when I was at UCLA, who ran a television studio and was married to Gail Parent, who was the head writer at Carol Burnett's show and was very ensconced in show business, but was primarily what they call a show caller, a guy with the headset on live shows that says, okay, cue that light and hit cue this. And so he fell in love with a real estate agent in Branson and got divorced from Gail and moved to Branson and lives there now because there's so many shows in Branson. And I stopped and visited him when I was driving cross country. And it really is a beautiful area. It's very sort of rolling hills, but interesting rock structures and lots of lakes. And, that whole Ozark area is topographically, I think, beautiful. And there's a whole culture there. And Branson is, it's the Las Vegas of the Christian set. So
is it?
Oh
Okay.
God, yeah. I mean, it's just theater after theater. So Lair was making a great living just working shows there.
Uh-huh.
But there's a lot of things happening.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dan, is that helmet in the background the one I kind of
You
forced
remember
you into
that?
buying?
Yeah.
John, do you remember that helmet at the reunion?
You,
You remember how much I paid for that helmet?
Send me a check.
And Carl
Send me a
Lockwood had,
bill, I'll-
you know, we're fighting for it, kind of. We thought, I thought maybe I'll pay $100 at the most, right? And that was outrageous then. And all of a sudden, I think you said, well, I think that's worth at least $250. Something to that effect.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm
the
looking around at
option.
everybody. They're
Okay.
all looking at me like, well,
Well,
I said,
Mr. Godrock?
yeah, okay, 250. And then I got a little applause, but
Yeah.
so that's the helmet.
Wow.
Yeah. You know,
Wow.
Carl was very excited about the helmet.
yeah, he really, I thought he was going to outbid me. And he backed off, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought you were just bidding him up. I'm so sorry.
They planted Carl in the audience just to do that.
Yeah.
But it did
Did you
impress
guys
people
get
at work. They,
pictures?
they couldn't believe I played football in high school. You know, they said, you played football? You know, because they see
Yes.
these big kids now and they're thinking, what the heck were you out there running around doing?
Yeah.
You know.
You were just
So-
Pat Mahomes before we had a Pat Mahomes, right?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but as
Hey,
big,
him.
big as some of these kids are, if you ran a lot of sweeps, I think they get tired pretty quick. I don't think these guys can really run that much, you know?
Hey, Mark, I wanted to ask you a question though, since this is the basketball team. Yeah, how come we didn't play in the Tournament of Champions after we won the CCS? You know, that tournament that played at the Oakland Coliseum?
They
with
didn't
all
have
the-
that.
they
then.
didn't have it
They
then.
didn't.
It wasn't,
No,
I wasn't going on at that time?
No, we went as far as we could.
that was it.
So Mark, how many sections were there in California at the time?
Well, there were probably several. There was an East Bay championship that I think Berkeley won. And we were all the schools from San Mateo County down, all the way down to Monterey County, like Hollister and all those schools.
Yeah.
But we weren't the East Bay. When
Then you head further north and you go down to Southern California and all too, right?
yeah, Southern California was all, there were two championships. There were, because I learned this when I played on the freshman team at UCLA, because our whole team was from University High School, because Andy Hill, one of our scholarship players, was City Player of the Year, and University had won the city championship. But that was just a tiny little section of schools that were around primarily the Valley and the west side of LA. Everything else in Los Angeles was the CES. And so that was a much bigger deal.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until years later, Phil, you know more about this than me, when they started doing the sections and making it so there was a full state championship. But remember when we won the CCS, that was the first year.
First year.
Yeah.
Before that, sort of an answer to your question, Danny, that's when they had the Tournament of Champions.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
And I forget where they played that, but that was just sort of by invitation.
They
Yeah,
played it
it
in
was.
Oakland. They played it in Oakland, and they had it when I was a senior. And
They did.
They didn't invite us because we were too far away and didn't have a big enough name, even though we were undefeated. So the section championship was a big deal in your time. It was little did we know that there were a lot of other sections in the state, but ours was the best.
You think?
By all means.
and ours was the first.
I-
But no, the year before was the PBT. That's what I remember.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
Peninsula Basketball Tournament.
The Peninsula Bat, because that's the one I
Yeah.
remember.
Sounds familiar.
Charlie Johnson from Sequoia just
Yeah. Yeah.
dominating.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Wow.
a man among boys.
Yeah, I got to see him play. That was amazing. He could jump.
Oh,
He was,
God.
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
Mark, we would
I
have
was
gone
gonna
up
tell you-
against Phil Chenier because he was at Berkeley
Phil
our
Chenier.
senior year. Remember him?
Well, I played against him on that
Yeah,
West
you would have
All-Star game.
That's right, right.
Uh-huh.
And so he and Nate Williams was on the East team, and John Gianelli, they all played in the NBA.
A lot of
And
those
we had,
guys showed up. a
We
lot
had
of-
Gary
lot of those-
Radnich on our team.
Yeah, a lot of those guys showed up at Foothill during the summer too.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember those games at Foothill. Remember how hot and
Yeah.
just muggy it was in there? But God, we'd play for hours.
Yep.
You know, Mark,
Hey,
I
Mark,
played,
I wanted
played
to-
lots of city league ball in my 20s and 30s, Pennsylvania and Michigan and other places I lived. Did you guys play city league ball? Because that was fun. And there were some really good ball players that come out of those city leagues and all. don't know
I
if
played
they
in
had
some
much
over
California.
40 leagues for about 5 or 6 years with Patrick Feehan.
Hmm. Yeah, we played in a few AAU tournaments and stuff. Redmond, Oregon always had a real good basketball tournament that basically it came down to city league type games.
Yeah,
You get a
yeah.
team together and then go play.
Yeah, get a sponsor, and those are some really good guys. That good high school players and college players, and it was an interesting mix of people, and some different levels of conditioning too. That was one of the only things I could really any good at in basketball is I could run, and I worked a lot harder on shooting later, but I ended up playing for a long time because I could outrun there, so it worked out well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask Mark one thing. I just wanted to say, Mark, one of the highlights of my sports career and times was getting to go to Pauley Pavilion when you were a freshman and getting to be there to see. So I thank you how you were able to orchestrate that for me to be able to get there and see John Wooden and Lou and all the boys, Henry Bibby. That was an opportunity of a lifetime. I really that was like going to heaven for me. That was
Do you
like,
remember what
this-
game it
this
was,
is-
Brian?
like that even was better. I think it was better than being at Candlestick with Rick Rude and his dad. He was the team minister chaplain, and
Right,
getting
he
to
had knew a lot of the Latin players on the Giants.
well, I got to shake hands with Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda and
Yeah.
all those things. But seeing John Wooden doing his thing in Pauley, it was quite a highlight.
Oh, cool. Do you remember what game it was that you saw?
No, but it was unbelievable. Just the warm-ups, seeing sitting and seeing these guys, future Hall of Famers, even in warm-ups, just the crowd, it was unbelievable. It was just, the atmosphere was just amazing. That was one of the highlights and I've had a lot of highlights. Anybody go to Mark Utley? You were talking about Oakland A's. I got to go see Mickey Mantle on his last time at the Oakland Coliseum. And were any of you there at that game when it was his last year, and everywhere he went that last year, they had presentations for him and stuff. All the teams both teams did all their pregame stuff, all their workout stuff, and then they announced him, and the applause went on so long, the teams actually came back out to warm up. It went on and on and on, and they didn't stop. And so the teams actually had to come back out and warm up before they could play the game. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
I heard Mark tell some good stories about Bill Walton. Mark, you came down to San Diego a few times to visit some of us who live down there, and because Bill Walton was there your last 2 years, Mark, something like that.
Yeah, and his brother played football. His brother Bruce Walton played.
The only story I remember you telling me about Bill Walton was that he was a little crazy, that he got in trouble one day because he threw his bed out of the 10th story window at the dorm or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good memory for me to have. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys remember Greg Lundstrom, right? The famed Hawk. So,
Yeah.
we used to drive down from UCLA, and because John and Hawk's brother Kirk, and Bob Nabazic
and Russ
and the other guy in our basketball team, Dennis Keller, all lived together down there. And that's when I first met John's future wife, Julie.
Yeah,
was down there. I
San
remember
Diego
being
State.
there when Nixon was in China.
1970.
1972.
72. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how long I known his wife, and of course John and I go back to the early days of the famed Cherry Chase golf course.
Yep. So Mark, when
That's
you
where I got my first hole-in-one on Cherry Chase.
Is that right?
Yeah. That was with Rod Prince. We were on number 8. It was short par.
Yes, I know
par
number 8
3.
well.
And he always talked me into getting on after they were closed. The pro shop was closed. He was a member, and so we played. I'd play with him, and he said, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay." And so we played, and it was getting dark, and I hit a 9-iron off the tee, and I thought it was nice, good, good shot, and we get up there, and he sees his ball on the green, and we're looking and it's dark. We didn't see it hit, and he putts out. I can't find my ball, and my ball is in the cup. So that was the first of 3 hole-in-ones that I've had, and I didn't get to see it. So,
and you didn't get to tell the golf course because you were on.
No, I didn't report that one in to get a trophy or whatever they were doing. But that was a fun little course.
Yes.
So that was actually the 7th hole.
Oh, 7. Yeah, that's right. That's
Number
right.
7. Yeah.
Okay, you remember that one.
Well, I played that course 5,000 times.
I know.
Yes. Picking cherries as we
yeah.
go along.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking at our 8th grade mango, annual, and just remembering some of the Mr. Tarbox and Mr. Sager, and
well, Mr. Sager had a very distinct effect on my life, much like Phil did, in that he would come to our house on Mary and knock on the door when I was in 7th grade and say to my mom, "Can Mark come out and play?" And he would take me over and we'd start shooting baskets. He just took an interest in me early on. And I've always just thought the world of Jim Sager.
Yeah.
And I just thought he was a cool guy. Every time you say back in the days of, excuse me, Mango, had to be the most embarrassing school name and mascot ever, the Mango Marauder.
Marauders. Yeah. Yeah.
Give me your fruit and no one gets hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, so between 7th and 8th grade, how much did you grow? Because I saw a picture of a 7th grade team and then an 8th grade team, and you,
Oh,
I
I
think
grew
must have-
about 3 inches, I think.
that all?
I was 6'5" by the time I finished freshman year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it looked like you had grown 6 inches at least between the two pictures, because everybody else
Possibly.
kind of stayed the same. And all of a sudden, this other picture was you, yeah, you had grown a lot during that time.
Pennies loved it.
Not youngsters,
I had to
not
buy new
youngsters
clothes
in downtown
constantly.
Sunnyvale.
Yeah.
Hey,
Penny's
John
downtown.
Dunning, how are you feeling? Maybe you want to tell guys how you alluded to some health difficulties.
Yeah, Bob Dwyer and I didn't know it at the time, kind of ended up with this very similar problems at about the same time. Where did Bob go? He was on for just a second. I was going to praise him for his electronic wizardry.
He could get a
And then he
picture
gave up.
or audio, but he couldn't get both, so he left.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That's too bad. Well, I won't praise him for his electronic wizardry then, but that's better. It's good. He only has a phone anyway. So
Yeah.
Yes.
I just woke up one day I couldn't go to sleep in the middle of the night one night and was short of breath and didn't know what to do. So I called my doctor and she said, come see me tomorrow. And I had an echo that day and saw a heart specialist that day because that was a bad sign. And my heart just wasn't functioning right. And for no reason that we know of, I might have had a virus or something that attacked my heart. And at that point, my cardiologist said I had a 50% chance of living 5 years. And then I went to a different cardiologist, which you usually should do. And I went to one that I through a contact at Stanford. And so now I have a pacemaker and I'm on 6 different cardiac meds and they've really helped and I feel a lot better. And I talked to her a week ago and I said, so am I going to live as long as my 95-year-old mother? He said, not a chance. He said, but you're going to live longer than we thought you were going to live. So just be happy. And I said, I am. I just want to outlive my pacemaker now. My battery has 5 more years on it and then we'll go from there.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
I can pretty much do what I normally could do at age 70. But for 2 years, I couldn't. It was pretty rough. And Bob's been through similar stuff where he's on meds now that are taking care of it. And so we can talk meds and doctor's appointments and echocardiograms and stuff and have a joyous time.
What is Bob's problem? Did you get a sense of what?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. We both kind of woke up one day and had it checked out. And there's a thing with your heart called the ejection fraction. I had no idea. It's how much blood your heart pumps through with every beat. Most people pump over about 60% of their blood through their heart with every beat. And I was pumping between 20 and 25%.
Wow.
And now it's almost 50% with the drugs that I take. So there's hope.
Glad to hear that.
And thank you. And Bob's doing a lot better too. He's been working pretty regular, going out on his pool building rounds, and still working. I think he just really likes working, being outdoors, doing what he's doing. So
Yes, when I called him to remind him about our Zoom call, he apparently was in the middle of a dinner with a client. So I'll call you as soon as I make one more call to a client. So he's still out there working. So whatever it is.
We only live about 10 miles apart.
Yeah.
He's
and certainly
we've been going to get together and play golf, but COVID just kind of stopped that. And
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
I certainly know from my experience in 2017 with my arterial, forget what they call it now officially, but it's a tear in my artery coming out of my heart that had to be grafted and kills 85% of those who experience that. And I was
Wow.
lucky enough to be in the 15% that survive it. And with the graft, I'm back fine and actually haven't felt this good in a long time. And
That's awesome.
I'm
Good.
That's great.
working on a couple of films and back involved with the sport of handball and organizing it. And so staying very active and trying to convince my wife, who is now officially retired, that now that we're, as I call it, deuced, both shots, that we can go out a little bit. We
Yeah.
got grandkids in Indianapolis who are 7 and 4 and getting to the age where soon they will no longer appreciate us the way they might
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
there's a certain urgency. So I feel good, but I certainly identify with what John and Bob are going through and how ephemeral it all is and how we have to live for each day. Boy, I know that.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm a lot better at that now.
Yeah.
I
Good.
can tell you that. Enjoying each day. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How are you, Phil? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
You sound great.
Yeah, you sound great.
Absolutely
Yep.
crystal clear.
Fantastic.
I just have one word of wisdom to all you young kids. It doesn't get any better.
That's
Hey,
Yeah.
you guys, just so you know, I play lots of bridge. And in this great electronic world of ours, you can play online. So if anybody ever gets into bridge and they want to play, I play in tournaments, I play clubs also, but anybody ever does, let me know. It's just as easy to play with you as it is to play with somebody next door. So anyways,
Wait a
Wow.
minute,
Wow.
you're in shape and you're mentally sharp too?
Wait a
trying
minute.
to, working on it,
Yeah.
working on master points. So
I'm
One-
sure
one
card,
thing-
yeah, I'm sure cards have something to do with mathematics, Herbie. So don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
won't get in on that.
Well, John, I'm going to be praying for your full recovery. That would be good.
Thank you.
We have one of my sons that lives with us, did ministry all over the world, and he's been fighting malaria, and he didn't know that he had it. He found it. He figured out when he got it in 2014 in Colombia, and one of the cities he was doing ministry in down there. It's the world's capital of malaria. And he has identified it to there, and he's also got Lyme's disease. So we've been on.
Oh boy.
So we're really thankful that we have, the ability to live with our family, and because you never know what's going to happen. And so we're really blessed to be able to have him here. Number one, be able to help him through this crisis, and malaria is not a good thing. It's trying to kill you, basically. And Lyme's isn't much better. So anyway, being
I've
thankful
come to
for
the
what you do
conclusion
have.
there are a lot of things out there that are trying to kill us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that really is true.
Apparently, we
But-
can't just waltz through the sunshine.
Yeah.
Speaking
Anyway.
of ministers, Mark, did you reach out to Jim McKay for this call? Wasn't he?
No.
Wasn't he
Jim
on the
McKay
team?
from your class?
Yeah, but I thought he played basketball. Am
He
I-
did.
Well, he wasn't.
But he
wasn't on our
didn't
team.
make it. He
He
wasn't
wasn't
with
on
us.
your team. Okay, maybe that's my senior year. I'm remembering him more.
No, you know who indicated that he was going to join us, is Barry Kelly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Barry
Yes.
said he was going to say yes.
Yeah, I saw his email.
But then I've had that same response with Barry when I've tried to get a hold of him for fraternity reunions. We just lost a very dear member of our frat group, and had a Zoom call that I organized that we had 57 people
Wow.
on the call, and from all over the country. And Barry, I thought, was going to be part of that, but he, for some reason, didn't make it. But this one, he got back and said, "Yeah, I'm going to be there." But
Yeah, I saw his email. Yeah.
Well, Brian,
Hey,
what made me bring up McKay? You said your one son is headed to the Ozarks.
Yeah, one of my
And
sons, yes.
McKay is a minister up in Independence, Missouri, just outside of Kansas City. So
Really? Wow.
is that right?
he and his younger brother Pat, out of the blue, stopped by the house last year, and after COVID too. I mean, they wore masks and they kept their distance. We did ultimately take one picture without masks as a souvenir, but anyway, they were just doing a West Coast visit, and so I got caught up with the two of them.
He
Pat
was
McKay.
the best man at my sister's wedding to Mike Marshall.
Pat is
Oh.
what, class of 71, maybe? Or was he
I
70?
don't know, but
I'm not sure.
He was a freshman, I think, our year. So 71 probably. Yeah.
71 sounds right.
I mean, he had the infamous tape job in the locker room our senior year, where we
Don't know that.
we taped him up.
You talk about class years, and I don't know, most of us haven't seen each other much, so Mark may be the only one that I've ever shared this story with. I almost was a member of the class of 68. Mark, when you mentioned Mr. Sager, it kind of brought this back to mind, a different teacher who had an impact on my life. In fifth grade, I was at Hollenbeck School. In fact,
Yes.
literally the opening year of it in 1962, we moved over there from Mango. And I was in a combined 5-6 class taught by a guy named Mr. Mahan, who I don't remember his first name anymore. I know his son, Gary, played for Fremont in football. But at any rate,
oh, Gary Mann, I remember.
Gary Mahan, yeah, it was his dad. So at any rate, there were
Mahan?
5 of us in the 5th
Gary
grade.
Mahan, yeah.
Mahan,
he
yeah,
was the
spelled
track-
Mahan. They kind of
track
pronounced
guy.
it Mahan.
He was
Any
the,
rate,
he was the sprinter.
One of the 5 of us, a woman named Reagan Foyles, got promoted from 5th grade to 7th grade and became part of your class of 68, although she moved on and didn't graduate with you.
I remember Reagan Foyles.
The story that my parents got, they were called to a conference with Mr. Mann, and Mr. Mann told them, well, Mark was equally qualified and I could have moved him from 5th to 7th grade. But he had already skipped 1 grade back in Kansas City from 1st to 2nd. So he's already 1 year younger. If I moved him ahead, he's going to be 2 years younger than his classmates. And the punchline on this story, this will really damage his athletic career at Fremont High when he gets there. And of course, as you all know, I had a stellar athletic career. So if it wasn't for Mr. Mann, I might have been a member of the class of 68. What can I say?
Well, that's funny.
Oh, boy.
Classic.
I am in touch with Reagan Foyles via Facebook. I haven't seen her since probably 5th grade, but she's on
I had
so
to
many
hop
people
for
show
her
up
in
out of
my
the
own
blue.
little 5th grade way back then, or 6th grade. She used to hang around with, does the name Celeste Frome ring a bell?
Vaguely, but I can't place.
I
a
associate
picture.
Reagan Foyles with Celeste Frome.
Hmm.
This is another one of those examples of I can remember shit like that and I can't remember.
What you ate
What
for
I'm-
breakfast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something
Yeah.
minuscule that happens in 62. I can remember.
Yeah.
Remember the snow in 62 in
Yeah.
Sunnyvale?
Yes.
Were you there for that?
Mhm.
When Alice Winkler sprinted it across Mary Avenue when it was still a cul-de-sac to pound on our door saying, "There's snow outside."
There's some
Believe
good
that was
video
on-
on YouTube. Somebody took old 8mm movies and digitized it. It's more over in the downtown Sunnyvale area, like Francis Avenue or one of those. But some good memories of what that day looked like.
That was
I
a
did.
Sunday, wasn't it? Was that a Sunday? I think it was on the weekend.
I think,
don't-
yeah, it was the weekend.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
didn't have.
remember
to
Yeah,
that
it
go to
was
church
because
of the
the
snow.
Crosby golf tournament got snowed out on the final round.
Yeah.
They had to play the final round on a Monday.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then, of
Mr.
course,
Historian.
Bobby Van Hoy, your father got interviewed on the local news when the tornado hit Sunnyvale.
That's correct.
Is this the one in like 98 or is this an earlier one?
The 98 one.
Yep.
It ripped off their roof and crashed their cars and
Wow.
came right over their house and it tore up the big church there on Remington and Bernardo, the one that had all the
Congregational
stained glass.
church.
Yeah, the one that
Yep.
had all the stained glass,
Oh, yeah.
got blown out.
Wow.
That's
I remember. I was
that's
in
the church
South
my
Carolina. at a
father
sales meeting.
was responsible for building.
The church?
My dad was the moderator of that church when they developed the plans for it. And he was the guy who pushed it through in the late 50s.
Now, my classmate, Suzanne Pearson, her dad was the minister there for many years.
Hmm.
I
And
don't
my
know if your
sister
dad-
got married there.
You did?
There's so many connections here. It's amazing.
But you
that
never
was
know.
just right
You
down
just
the
have
street
to
from
keep
where you live,
digging.
John. You had to get married there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just down the street. Yeah.
You got a discount, a neighborhood discount.
We had quite a neighborhood. Greg Myers lived across the street from me.
And yet went to AWOL.
And went to
Did.
AWOL, yeah.
God, can you
Boundary.
imagine how good we would have been if we'd had Greg Myers?
He was good.
He could
He was
score.
great. I love Greg Myers. I thought he was a great guy too.
He was the CFO for Oracle or something for a long, I mean, chief financial officer for,
Mhm.
for
Right.
25 years. Maybe not Oracle, but one of the real big ones.
Huh.
So he's a
Okay.
really successful guy.
God, and he's wealthy. Now I know why I wanted to run into him.
Yeah, he has a vineyard around his house and everything down in Morgan Hill.
No kidding. Wow.
Mark, wasn't there another really good player for AWOL with Greg Myers?
Jay Gray,
Doug Leak.
What's
Doug
his
Lee.
name?
And
Doug
Marlon Donner was the guy who made first team all league.
Marlon.
Yeah, I remember, I saw something recently on Facebook. They showed the all-league team from the SCVAL, and there was somebody on AWOL, I couldn't remember his name, but I
It was
remember Greg
Marlon
Myers.
Donner.
And then, Mark, you were the MVP of the league that year, and Bob
Right.
Dwyer was,
And Dwyer was
and
on
Mark,
the
and
team.
Marty Peterson from Homestead.
Yeah.
Right, and
That's
Pat
center.
Gallegos from Bookser.
Yeah, somebody from Bookser, I think so.
Hey, Mark, who was the player of the year for the Palo Alto Times Player of the Year, Athlete of the Year in '68? Do you remember?
For who?
Well, the whole
Santa Clara Valley.
area.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ralph Show.
Yeah, Ralph probably was. Yeah.
Homestead
Ralph
football.
Yeah, Homestead
Homestead
football.
football.
Ralph
And
Well,
Schultz
he
was
was-
the-
And he was second in the state discus too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Ralph.
Ralph, both Ralph and then their quarterback, Steve Bielenberg, both went to Oregon State. Ralph ran halfback and then they,
But
But
Show blew
Bielenberg
out
did-
his knee early on, didn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives here in Sisters. Ralph does.
yeah.
So
He
I
was
see
a state police and
over in the
that
valley.
guy.
He was. Yeah, he was a trooper.
Yep.
Anyway, he lives in Sisters with us here.
Yeah, all these guys that were studs in high school that went to either Oregon State or UCLA, like Randy Beck blew out his knee like first year at UCLA.
Yeah.
Ralph Show. Lyman was hurt
Yeah.
every year until his last year, and then caught this one miraculous touchdown from Mark Harmon to beat Nebraska, the defending national champion, and suddenly became a star.
Wow.
But everybody else got hurt except Vince Mock. He killed people on the UCLA practice. He put two guys that I can think of right off the bat out of the game in practice.
Well, what's funny about Ralph Show was our game with Homestead our senior year.
Yes.
I hit him, and I went to the hospital that night to go see him because
I remember that.
I hit him, and he did some kind of a flip and landed on his head. He was done for the year, and but I was friends with him, so I saw him that night at the hospital. That was not a good thing. Vince Mock I played with at De Anza for a couple of years, and
before he transferred to UCLA,
I loved playing with him. He was fun to play with. He was amazing.
That's good.
Okay, you guys, I'm gonna hit. It's my bedtime.
Great seeing you, Phil.
Great to see you, Phil.
Yes,
Nice
sir,
to
Mr.
see you,
Kelly.
Phil.
See you, Coach.
Hey, keep in touch. Let me know how
Take
you
care,
are.
coach.
Mark, set these up. These are great.
well, I tell you what we didn't do, because I was waiting until we had everybody together, and Dwyer slipped through the digital cracks here, but I will offer, if anybody's got a drink in their hand or close by, a toast to the 53rd anniversary. It was 53 years ago tonight.
Yep.
That we won the first CCS championship. Here's to us.
That's
Wow.
awesome. Yeah.
And to you, Coach.
Way to go,
To
Coach.
you, Coach, for putting
And
it
to
all
you all
together.
later. Great to see you. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
get some toilet paper for your house.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
And after that, we'll go to Butt Kane's house.
Yeah.
And then the frog pond.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
really.
sign out too, guys. I gotta get to dinner. Take care, all. Thanks
Okay.
for
Mark.
Yeah, good
All
seeing
right,
you.
everybody.
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, a couple years ago, we talked about going to a baseball game. And I'd be willing to come back to California to do that, but I'd have to know about it. Probably not this summer, since it's going to be way up in the air whether how many people will be allowed to come in. But I could come out for Oakland A's or a Center Giants game. That'd be a fun thing to do.
Well, if you want to come in later this season, what we just discovered from the Giants today actually is their more or less their policy. We paid for last season with our season ticket group, and we have tickets up on the view box looking right down into left field. It's in a disabled row, so you literally you're by yourself, and they're nice seats. But we have a bunch of people who are part of the group. We paid for all of last season, and we can let that roll over into next year, or we can buy single games on a month-by-month basis. And what's nice is I can buy up to 8 seats per game, which we've never been able to do. We only have 2 seats. So maybe later in this year, if you want to consider it, then I could take 4 or 5 guys and do something like that. Otherwise, next year it'll be back to 2 seats that I have, or we just go to general tickets.
Yeah,
You know,
that
and
could work.
then it'll depend on how good the team is. And
Yeah, I've been to one game the first year. or maybe the second year. My oldest daughter lived in the city there, and I went out and watched it. And I did see Barry Bonds. He went out in McCovey Cove also, so that was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be willing to do that. It'd be fun. It'd be an excuse to see.
Well,
people.
keep in mind, end of the year, but let's just stay in touch and.
Yeah.
But it'd be
I will
kind of fun
mix
to use March 16th as a touchstone for us to get together now that we know how to do this.
But it's not
And
October
hopefully in a
19th?
year, Bob Dwyer will have figured out how to do it.
No,
And,
next year we'll get Dwyer to my house and he can use Julie's.
There you go.
He can just sit right next to you, John. He
Yeah.
sit right next to you. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And John,
So
let's hope the news from your medicinal front is continuing to be
Yeah.
good
Thanks.
Yes.
It'll be all good.
Yep. Great.
Yep.
and get you out there on the golf
I'm
course
in
where I know you can be.
contact with,
I will touch the base, back in the days of going
Hey,
up there
I
and
wanna let you
playing
guys know.
golf. Playing golf and John, you were really the only golfer of the whole group that we would go up there and you'd hit a ball down the middle of the fairway 5 yards off the center and you'd be all pissed because it wasn't down the center. Well, we dribbled it down the fairway.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Greg, that is so Dunning, though. I remember going out to Cherry Chase and playing with him and Dennis Jones and a couple of guys. I think we were in high school, and John had the perfect swing, and then he hit a ball, and it was par 3. And he probably hit it 10 feet within the cup, and he was swearing.
Yeah.
The rest of us
I
couldn't even
know.
get to the green.
I drove Phil
was a par
crazy on the
3.
golf team. Yeah. Yeah. I had to curb that when I went back to Stanford, and I used to play out at Stanford with him all the time when I was coaching there. And I had to stop swearing and stuff because he didn't want to hear it. So I was forced to grow up.
Perspective. That's was a hard lesson to learn probably for all of us.
Yeah. Cherry Chase is long gone.
Long gone.
Yeah. Condos and stores and whatever else.
Right.
There. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
Is Sunken Garden still there?
Yeah.
Does anybody know?
Yep. Deep Cliff
Yeah.
is still there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember pulling up to Cherry Chase and parking in that little funky parking lot with Scran in my Volkswagen. Remember, I had that free Volkswagen from West Beale
Yeah.
that I had to drive around. And we pulled out, and because we were members, I could just walk onto the first. And over our shoulders, we heard this deep voice say, "Fellas, you mind if I joined up with you?" And we looked over, and it was Hugh McElhaney.
Oh my gosh.
Remember the football player? And
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
like,
The
yeah.
Rambling Wreck.
And he was the coolest guy, just a hack as a golfer. He had the worst swing, worse than Barkley, I think, but
No.
Oh,
Nobody's
no,
worse
no,
than
no.
Barkley.
That's not, yeah.
Nobody. worse than Barkley.
it was pretty bad. He was just so muscly that there was no fluidness to it. But we were just, whatever you want, Mr. McElhaney.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What he
Julie
was
and I
doing at Cherry Chase, I have no idea.
Julie and I were playing golf one time, and Phil Hellmuth was playing in front of us, the
Oh yeah.
shark.
All right.
Card shark.
Yeah, so he and his buddy said, "Come on up and join us." Julie is walking with me; she can't play, and because of physical stuff. And he and his buddy were playing. I $500 a hole. One
Yeah,
club.
he's a gambler.
One club. And so they were having to hit their 5-wood out of the sand trap and all kinds of stuff. So it was like, that was my celebrity moment on the golf course, was Phil Hellmuth.
Wow.
McElhaney's better than that. It's just
Oh, Phil's quite funny.
yeah.
I used to watch the gambling channel.
He likes to get inside people's heads. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it.
No doubt.
That's a good skill to have on a golf course too.
Yeah. Phil Kelly played, I don't know if he does now. I was going to ask him, but he left. He played 3 days a week, every week he was in town. And he only ever played really at Stanford unless he left town. But he was up there. He had a great group of guys he played with. I played with them sometimes, and he's a good player. He really is probably like a 5 handicap until he was 70 years old.
Wow.
Just pretty darn good.
Right. He looked in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
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 He did.
Well,
He's 10 years older than us, right?
I was trying to figure that out.
9 or 10.
9 or 10, I think.
Yeah, I think he's
Well,
9.
yeah, he graduated and he was part of the team of 57, but he graduated in 58.
All right, so 10 years older. Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Okay.
What's me 80?
Well, everybody looks good on camera here. This is awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
I wanted to tell you guys one thing about Mancuso, Tom Mancuso.
Tommy, yeah.
I've been in contact with him, and he's actually selling his place in San Jose, and he's moving close to outside of Sacramento. So I think he's going to be closer to where you are, John, in Lodi. And that's happening here in the next couple of months, I think. I don't think his house is up for sale yet, but I connected with him to let him know this was happening, and he was busy tonight. So yeah, it was really great to hear his story when we got together at our 50th. Just knowing why he was always drunk, and it was, I never knew, his whole story, that whole thing happened. But anyway, he and I are in good contact now. So he's a good one.
I've been in contact with Tommy
know
too.
that where you're at. Yeah.
He was my catcher.
So anyway, that's an update on
Little
him.
League.
It was fun to see at the reunion. It was fun.
Yeah,
to
and it was
see
so
at the reunion.
it was so good to figure out. It was so good to figure out my lack of understanding how you guys were 1 year behind me in Little League, you and Barry. I never got that because like I said, we lost our first game that my 12-year-old year to Campbell Little League, and they won the World Series that year. And but you guys were 11-year-olds. I didn't ever understand that.
We faced him the next year, and Barry got the opening assignment against another team. We won. Kirk Lundstrom hit 2 home runs. Then I faced Campbell in the second round game. And the big tall kid, Ted, whatever his name is, had gone on, but a kid named Mike Usey, who had been on the World Champions the year before, came up with a runner on and hit a ball that I think is still in the air. I mean, it was just crushed. And I was worthless for the rest of the game. And so we went down in defeat. And I still remember my mom in the car going, "You should have started the first game, and then Barry should have picked the second game." Barry was a better pitcher than me, and
we never got that second game because I caught Barry for that first game, and they won the World Series that year. We lost to them 1-0, and this team from Campbell that year, they blew everybody out. Nobody was close to them. 15-0, games, and they were that good. And I was the only one that got a hit off of Teddy. Teddy Campbell was his name, and he was 6'3", 220. He was a big boy, and almost as big as you,
was
Mark.
that 1962, Brian? 62 or what?
That was 62.
Right.
That was 62.
Yeah, next summer was my year on it with 63. I remember that.
Yeah, and Barry, his curveball was amazing, but he said, when I saw him last, it was like, you should have pitched and I should have, because we didn't know they were that good, and he held them to one run, and it was just a amazing game, and I was the only one that could hit the guy. He was throwing BBs. He was really 46 feet away, and you're 6'3". That's like kind of an advantage there, so.
You start your swing before he releases and you close your eyes and hope it makes contact.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost like facing Randy Johnson, right? It's probably scary, right?
Yeah. Anyway.
I'll never forget going to Mango Junior High School, although by the time my kids went to it, it was Sunnyvale Junior High School, mercifully. And they had 2 basketball courts going, and my kid was Josh was in the foreground court, and the court on the other side was cut off by this big tarp, but there was a gap in the tarp. And so when one team was fast breaking or just moving from one side to another, you could see the guys on both teams passing by the rhythm of the game. I'm watching this game and I'm looking up, and suddenly, there's all these 7th graders, and there's a 7'1" behemoth strolling by with the same uniform. And it's this kid, Ronnie Reese.
Oh, yeah.
My brother coached him.
Clara, and he was 7 feet.
My brother coached him at Kennedy. My brother was his coach.
And I taught him at Monte Vista.
Yeah.
and it was, wait a minute, what did I just see? Because you could only just see a glimpse of him as he would go by in the gap in the tarp.
Yeah.
And talk about a man among boys. I
mean, he was a thick body too.
Larry taught, he coached the little brother. The little brother came the next year. He was only 6'11". So it was, Larry had a few good teams. And what was funny with that team with Ron Reese, that guy wasn't even the best player on his team. He had a kid that was 6'3", and I can't remember his name.
He went to Stanford.
This kid, he was an 8th grader, and he could do it. What? Yeah. What was his name?
I can't remember. Jeff.
In 8th grade, he was doing a 360 dunk in 8th grade, 6'3", and that was the best player on his team. And Larry took this team to some tournaments, high school tournaments, and won tournaments with this 8th grade team. It's like, oh my goodness.
Well, Ronnie Reese ended up as a professional wrestler, right?
Yeah, he did in Europe and over here too, I guess.
Because he had kind of a bigger than life personality, and is he still alive? I thought I read that he died of a heart attack or something.
No, I don't know.
My
God, that's 40
I didn't
years
hear.
ago.
Yeah.
Guys built that big, sometimes don't make it all the way down. But
he was a big boy.
Hey, Greg, we're the only 2 that went to Collins. You went to Collins, right, Greg?
Yes, went to Collins.
So,
I went to Collins.
And the reason
twice. I went to Collins twice. I went to Collins in elementary school.
Oh, before it became a junior high.
Oh, right. Junior high.
Okay.
That was a double dipper.
and Collins is back to a elementary.
Yeah, they started as elementary and then they made it a junior high without changing the tables or the chairs or any of that kind of. It was unbelievable.
And the reason I can't remember,
my wife went to Collins. I'm going to have to share that with her.
She did? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. And the reason I don't remember Greg so much because remember back in those days, the teams went by size, remember?
Yeah.
You were always on the A's or B, at least B, size-wise. I was
A, B, and
always
C.
with the C's or the B's. And so Greg and I would never play on the same football or
Yeah.
basketball teams. But baseball, we
Yeah.
probably played together.
Yeah.
Collins. Yeah. But
Yeah, I think memory was like the start of my 8th grade year. I was 5'6", and when I finished, I was 6'2".
Hey,
Collins,
do you guys remember Don
That's
White?
ancient.
Yeah.
Don White.
Collins?
Yeah.
Oh, Collins? No.
Yeah.
And he was killed our freshman year.
Motorcycle.
Right, he was
Yeah.
on the back of a motorcycle that Kenny
Yep.
Logan was driving.
Yep.
And, you know, he would have been, I don't know how good of a basketball player he was, but he would have been a hell of a football player, as I recall.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He was as big as you or I, Mob, and
Mm-hmm.
he moved pretty
Yeah,
well. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I used to walk back from Fremont after practices with him. I had this tremendous crush on a girl named Pat Overton. I don't know if you remember her. She was in my English class and had this bubble haircut, and I would just stare at her forever. And if I did poorly in English that year, it was because of Pat Overton. But I remember Don knew her pretty well.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
he was always going to introduce me to her. And at the end of our freshman year,
Yeah.
something happened and some
Yeah.
got plowed into him.
So you were distracted in English and you dropped out of math. You were just a wizard.
You were
I was flotsam and jetsam on the high school sea.
and had a lot of crushes, I understand, I guess.
Yeah.
And
And then I
somewhere,
met Carmendale
somehow,
Fernandez.
yeah,
who
he had
steered
the
me in.
ability to become a president of the school.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
just president of the freshman class.
Oh, was it just freshman class?
Yes.
I thought later on you were the big dog for the whole school.
Yeah, weren't you ASB?
ASB
ASB.
president
No, I was
No?
vice president.
was Tanoy,
No, I was
No, I-
senior class
I think-
president.
senior class.
Senior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, senior. All this time, huh?
I forget who was ASB president then. I ran for president.
Was it Peggy Donnelly?
It might have been.
Oh, might
Peggy
have been.
Donnelly, I think. Yeah. I think that's who that
See how
was.
progressive we were? A woman president?
Progressive. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
You know who
Bob,
I feel bad for these days is Donna Koptovic, Hanover. Just,
Yeah.
you know, her ex-husband is just such a
Bozo.
national joke now.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad for her daughter, Carolyn, because, you know, I got to know Donna a little bit in the last few years. Utley is no longer with us, right?
No.
No,
No.
he
We
checked
had
out.
a couple of reunions for Carbondale Fernandez, and that she would come, and I heard stories about Carolyn and the Gracie Mansion and stuff, and she's trying to become a documentary filmmaker, and just having the name Giuliani now, it's just
Not good.
Yeah, it ain't good at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, how's the music world?
We passed a year since she played last.
Mm.
So, but we got a couple songs out just on the independent radio, but we should not play and we're just writing.
Yeah. She's
Oh.
she's had so much success. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're hoping to get to play at Great America because they're going to open up again, and they have a great country festival there. So, but we'll see. Who knows? I have no idea what's going to happen.
What does the band feel about getting together? And I mean, assuming bars open up, as like in San Mateo County, we go to Orange Tier supposedly tomorrow, and bars can open up outdoors, which means you could play.
Yeah.
But what does the band feel?
The band is ready and wanting to. We lost our one guitar player, moved to Arizona for his health. But yeah, they're chomping at the bits.
Is the band vaccinated?
Half of them are. So there's a couple of younger guys that aren't yet.
Right.
Although
hopefully that's going to change soon.
Yeah, our granddaughter got the first shot. You know, she's just 19 because she's a city employee.
Oh.
So she got it.
City of Cupertino?
Yeah. She was working at the Deanza Tennis Court Sports Center right across from Deanza College.
Oh, okay. Well, then she should have one.
Yeah. Yeah. So
how many of you guys, has everybody gotten theirs?
Sherry and I have had our first one, and this week we will get the second.
Yeah, we just got ours.
Real easy. The second one had no reaction at all. Nothing.
None. And
We had no
didn't even
reaction.
Flu
feel
shot,
it.
nothing.
I was pretty sick the second one. I had a fever and for about a day
Really?
and a
No,
half.
missed all
Yeah.
that. The first one at least had a sore arm for a few hours.
John, did you have Pfizer?
Pfizer.
Moderna.
Pfizer here.
You had Moderna, John?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I must have been put in with the cowboy crew out here in the valley. They don't wear masks either, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Good thing we're all vaccinated. Out here, there's a lot of mask protests in our area. So
Wow.
they all own trucks and carry guns in their back window too. So we know where I fit exactly right in. Just
Good.
Next time we see you, it's going to be with baseball hat and a flannel shirt.
yeah. I can go get them for you if you want.
And a rebel hat.
I had
Yeah.
to buy those to be able to go to the golf course. That's what you got to wear. It's okay.
Yeah. If you want to walk off the course alive.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
That's
You know,
great.
John, Easy Rider was one of my favorite movies.
What's that?
Easy Rider was one of my favorite movies,
Ah, yes.
particularly in the early 70s.
It could be remade, but the ending would be slightly different. The protagonists or the antagonists are different, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
we wore masks and they shot us right off of our golf carts.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap things up here.
I agree.
Yeah, hey, thanks for setting this up. This is really
Thanks a
cool.
Thank you
lot,
very much, Mark.
Appreciate
Appreciate
Well,
it.
like I say, keep March 16th on your calendars.
Thank you,
And
guys.
hopefully we'll have other opportunities to get together in real
Yeah.
life.
Yes.
Yes.
Because you're a very squeezable bunch of guys. And I
Thank you guys
mean
all.
that in the
Thanks,
best
Mark.
way possible.
Thank you, Mark.
Great to
Good
see
seeing all
everybody.
you
Thanks a
guys.
lot.
Yep.
Hey, you guys
And,
take care now, huh?
Everybody.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
All right.